Terrence Prescott again, and this time I'm going to be talking about the Crimson Collective and the 10 new characters I added to it. And they are really good characters. I was trying not to add more characters because, you know, even though I believe in the more is merrier, it's a lot of work to do to handle a lot of characters. But I felt like there needed to be a number of characters on the front lines on the brothership the entire time of the story and doing what they do best, which is hoard evil. And the 10 characters that I made up, they are all great one-person armies, and it's going to be the 10 of them in a unit. I call the unit something. Let me see if I can find it. Not an info. Well, I guess I don't have it right now, but their unit is named something in its it's some kind of big name. Well, hopefully it is. I'm not getting my own information wrong, but there's a lot of stuff I got to do when it comes to that. But I made up those 10 to be the frontline heroes that are associated with everybody else in the story and whatnot. So now that I have them made, I want to introduce them. And the first one is Zolkav, superpower Griffin Craft, and that means craft is a superpower that is light encompassing on all elements, and you can use all of the other ones, but their main basis will be light, and you can use light fire, light electricity, light vegetation, and do all kinds of crazy things with craft. And his griffin form has 6 wings and is very lovely. But he's a traveling adventuring hero who is a swordsman, and he fights with the Nodachi type swords, which are the very long ones. And let me see, it's kind of like Hakumen's from Blast Blue. It's kind of the length of that sword, or what's her name, Yuzuriha, with her very long sword. It's like those swords. And he's been a traveling adventurer since his youth and things like that. A lot of characters know him, especially Zooms, because Zooms is a character like him who's a traveling adventuring swordsman. And then you have Vocco, and this is kind of my homage to Marina from The Magicians, and she was one of the best characters on that series. I don't care what anybody says. It was lovely times. She's a sorceress, specializes in distorting reality, and she does that by making up these mirrors that nobody else can see except for her and people with X-ray vision and other people that are in know of her spells and things like that. But she'll make these mirrors and it'll mess around with everybody's sight, because you'll think that something is happening, and then she pull a Morgan and she be pushing herself out of a mirror and just go haywire with the projectiles and things. It's very beautiful. Vocco is a name that I just made up, the civilian makeup, and it's just something original to her character. But the seeing her doing one thing and then all hell break loose is something she specializes in a lot, because she'll have a whole wall of mirrors behind her and it'll look like nothing is happening, and in the meantime she's setting up explosions by casting spells in her mind, and you can't see it, but all these bombs are like materializing behind her, and then a wink of the eye and the mirrors are gone. Then you see the bombs all leave from behind her and mess up an entire battlefield like that. Next character is Andravora, and she's a mage, a one-woman army mage, and she's best summed up as a Shiro version of Sephiroth. She has lovely long blue hair, and it goes in with the blue sun of swords because she got that very long Masamune type blade, and she do the sun symbol thing, and you see her blue hair, and then you see all of this blue light. Then next thing you know, it's like 1,000 of her coming from the sky, and just straight up out there slashing everything to death by herself. She's connected mostly to Andraco's because she's Andraco's current love interest in the story. Next one is the Super Spreader, and I had a great time making up this character because I don't often make up a lot of pollution type characters, but I was thinking since a Super Spreader could be used that way, I'm gonna make him a pollution character and also make him a swordsman too. But he handles a lot of machinery, like machinery uprising, on artificial intelligence uprising and things like that. He'll go and handle all of it because he can physically punch a machine and ruin all of its inner workings, foundations and things like that. So he can just uppercut a motherboard, if I could talk right, uppercut a motherboard out of a machine. And he usually with a lot of other pollution wielders or Metism wielders and things like that. And he's going to be on the front lines because he is good for that. And you know, since humanity is at the brink of never existing again because of this specific alien invasion, he's going to be on the front lines handling all of the machinery and all of them. And since he's a pollution wielder, he can't be possessed by them, and that's another thing. But the next character is Whirly, and she is mostly connected to Crunch. Kind of like Crunch's best friend in the universe, but when the situation happened, like in the beginning when Crunch sent out that request to assemble a team for the nuclear reactor mission, she couldn't get on it because she was too far away. And then after they got out and done with it, and then the puzzle pieces came around her neck, that's when the news of the alien invasion swept all of the galaxies and things like that, and she immediately decided to go to the front lines. She's a traveling adventuring hero who fights with 2 katanas and a crown is the weapon. It transforms hair to be like using like weapons like Melia Rage from Guilty Gear and other characters that have used their hair like weapons and whatnot. And she is called Whirly because of her hair, and she has like this, you can't really see it in the image, but that's the image that I used, and then her hair is all over the place and things like that, and she always has like this big super dome helmet looking kind of hair going on because she's always ready to fight. And she's considered one of the most trustworthy heroes in that day and time, and she goes immediately to the front line and she gets assembled with the best people that the scientists think will work against the alien invasion, and she ends up with the other 9 characters that I made with her, and they are very thankful that she's out there with them. And then the next character is Bazarin, and he's a mage. He is when I was looking for faces for this character, I was like, I want somebody extremely hardcore, and then I saw his face and I was like, you know what, maybe I can make him a happy-go-lucky magician and have him bless the battlefield by perfectly smiling all over the place. And in his categories for Magestry is enchant, astronomy, psychic, and metronome. But metronome wouldn't fit, so I had to put the question marks. But metronome is the type of power that, you know, anything comes up, and he chose it because of many factors of making sure that he can't be psyched out while on a battlefield, because, you know, magicians have the anti-magic around the universe, the witch hunters, so to speak, and things like that. And he has to make sure that they can't always see what he's doing. And with him being a hero, he's not really hunted by witch hunters or anything, but at any given time, anybody can do anything to piss off a witch hunter. And, you know, they have the personalities and the quirks and things like that, but, you know, they sometimes get misconstrued in the layout of justice and villainy, and they go after the wrong people sometimes. So he makes sure that he always has something up his sleeve that they won't ever see coming, and that's the reason why he chose metronome, because he doesn't want to be one of those hunted witches by mistake. But there's Bazarin and all his well, not all of his glory. His main glory is his mallet, and he always talking about let's talk about the order, because, you know, Gag Nation is off the chain, and he be out there with that mallet doing the Method Man Shaolin style thing, and it's great. Great character. Okay, the next one is Juicier, and Juicier is closely affiliated with Proof and Zouism. She's from the Patrice Nation, and that's mostly the nation that births the Phoenix Wielders throughout this universe. And when the guys made it with the humans, that's how humans got Phoenix a superpower. So anybody with Phoenix as a superpower in the story is they have lineage tied to Patrice and Edgemere. And she's a Vegetation Phoenix Wielder, and her specialty is using Raizuna, which is Gaia's opposite sister, and the Tree of Nothingness is the opposite of the Tree of Life. And she uses all of that very crazy witchcraft type vegetation, and she goes to the front lines because she respects the humankind and all of that stuff, despite all of the wars throughout time. But the benevolency of the period leading up to 8124, it's been very lovely for mankind and whatnot. So Juicier is one of the like bigger guys. Like, she mad huge even though she's young already, and she ends up being one of the main watchers of the watch list. And like I said in the other videos, the guide and existence control allows guys to do whatever they want, and, you know, it's a very long list of things when it comes to existence. And she chose the omniscient viewing type things to allow her to see everything at once and have all of the nuances of looking at something and then going right back into the time space that she needs to be in, and doing it over and over again so she can understand things. And that's what mostly the watch list is made out of, is people that do that. And that's what Juicier does. And because of the alien invasion, nobody can see around it for some odd reason, so she goes to the front line to try to understand why the God in existence controls won't let her handle it and whatnot. And she out there fighting hordes of aliens and machines and their culture of bacteria and viruses and things like that, with all of the other major 10 characters at the beginning. I mean, well, they stay on the front line, if I can talk right. And then the next character is Smokehead, who is closely tied to Teodra Morris. He is Teodra Morris's beau in the story, and they call him Smokehead because he is a Metism wielder, and Metism wielders can turn into full-on machinery, and he usually goes headless when he does it. And there's all kind of machinery that produces black smoke out of his neck area, and that's why they call him Smokehead. And he's an annihilation hero, which means he is sent out there to destroy massive amounts of situations, mostly alien invasion type situations, or monster hordes and machinery hordes and things like that. And Camaro Deadshot is very professional with what he does, and he takes it very serious. That's why he's always out and about, and considered one of the most trustworthy heroes as well. So he goes to the front line as soon as the alien invasion happens, even though he was heading somewhere else to do something, because in the beginning of chapter 1, him and T.O. Morris are making love when Crunch sends out the request for a team thing, and then they get finished and T.O. goes in the direction of Crunch and Smokehead goes in the opposite direction across the universe. But he goes right to the front line as soon as the alien invasion happens. And then the next character is Swole, and Swole is I can proudly say he's mostly like Colossus, but he has Charm as a superpower, which is the code name for all metalloids, and he can use Gundanium, Visorium, which is the spaceship metal, titanium, silver, bronze, gold, all of that for all of the elemental properties as well, and masterfully go around using those elemental type powers with his charm on a battlefield with hella shoulder pressures. It's beautiful. And they call him Swole because he's always big like that. And he is very unstoppable. So he goes to the front line to do that, and the first thing they do is build up this very ridiculously enchanted cannon, and he's at the center of it, and he's going to be shot out, and he's doing all of his power building and redoing it and stacking energy on top of energy, and going into his Visorium form, which is space metal, which is harder than the metal that the aliens are using for their spaceship. And they have all these wizards around, and everybody is like, he's at the center, and then a whole spaceship of clans of Magestry, sorcery, and hexing are all enchanting the space around him and adding more energy to the cannon. Then the spaceship energy of their battleship is getting bigger and bigger, and it's all kinds of power. And then they shoot him directly into the brothership, and a great ass chunk of it is out. So you know, humans have their weapons of mass destruction, and Swole is one of them. Then the last character is Ohhn. This is what we're doing? Yes, that is what she's doing. She's out there on the battlefield handling them enemies, alright? And her superpower is X, and she fights with spirit fingers as well. And it gives her that whole slasher, berserker, X-23 type shit. And she's a protector hero like Swole, so immediately when the beacons went out about the alien invasion, she went to the front lines like she always do, because that's what kind of hero she and Swole are, and they are highly connected together throughout the story and whatnot. And all 10 of these, they are highly known throughout the main characters of the story. But Ohhn has a pristine ability of doing almost everything needed on the battlefield to ensure that the winning side is heroes. And she made it so that she could fly with her superpowers to an extent, and X-wielders can't really fly. But then she got those spirit weapons, the Obliteration X's, and all spirit fingers are spirit weapons, so they always come with some kind of addition, and hers came with the addition of making these platforms. So with her being a high octane Omega level super being, she can use all kinds of energy pulled or produce all kinds of energy for anything. But if she can't fly herself, she can't fly herself. But she puts all that energy into the platforms that the spirit fingers allow her to make, and she be zooming in and out and jumping off of them, like triple jumping throughout the ass shit. And she can look directly up a skyscraper and go and get up to any floor that she wants. You know, she'll count from 1 all the way up to 27, slash through the window with her powers, and go for whatever villain she needs to. She is incredibly trained as a hero and whatnot. But that's the 10 of them, and they are going to be on the front lines, and in most cases, the way that I described them, you can understand why they're on the front lines. But all of them are Omega level super beings. They are on the 1,000 watch list, and Juicier knows she's on the watch list because she's highly dangerous. But she's a good guy, so they don't really worry about her. She goes around doing her job, which is watching everybody, keeping tabs on her power levels among the dimensions in the real world. But all of them are greatly dangerous, and they're highly connected to everybody else in the story. But I think I'm going to leave it at 136 characters. I think that'll be it for that. I think I'm very good on that. And now I'm off to finish doing the characterization sheets of the first 13 in chapter 1. And right now I'm working on Gountlets and Shveta because of Killif, and I was working on hers yesterday, and I was doing a lot of things with her makeup of her personality, but I didn't get around to her history because I was talking about her homes and her possessions and abilities and things like that. And she got a ton of abilities. Death Wielders are awesome on the battlefield. But then I had a dream, and Gountlets was with Shveta at the castle in the sky, and there's a lot of those in the story. But this one is specific to the throne of Armada, which is the nation that Gountlets comes from in Edgemere, and it's the Light Nation, and Killif is there, and I'm there, like me, not like Crunch, but me or any other variations of me in the Tristone area. It was me. And I was sitting on the edge of the castle, and at this safe zone where people can fly out and float in the air and look down, look up, and just be in this heavenly air. And there are these benches besides the ports for small vehicles and people on flying animals come through. And I was just sitting there between them, and Killif was on my left, Gountlets was on my right, Shveta was on his right. And we was just talking, and they was telling me all kind of beautiful things. So that's what I'm going to get back to writing now, because that ties into the history of Killif, Gountlets, and Shveta. And the deadline is looking quite beautiful. So I'm going to keep on handling it. Until next time, take it easy.